morning, children. Today we are starting with the term 3 portions. Our first chapter in biology is Unit 4, our environment. In this session we are going to learn about our environment. Our environment is our life, isn't it, children? Can you imagine a life without an environment? No. Our environment is our life. Now let us see some of the learning objectives of our environment. To acquire knowledge about ecosystem and their components. To understand food chains and their role in ecosystem. To learn about waste, its management and recycling. To find out the difference between biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. To study different types of pollution and their impact on environment. So these are some of the learning objectives which we are going to learn in our chapter. Now let us go with the introduction of our environment. So what is an environment, children? The surroundings or space in which person, animal or plant lives is known as an environment. Environment is everything that surrounds us, isn't it, children? It can have both living and non-living things. It includes both living and non-living things, which we call it as biotic factors and abiotic factors. What are these biotic factors? Biotic factors are living things of our environment such as plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, protists and more. What are the abiotic factors? Abiotic factors are living parts such as soil, air, minerals, sunlight, water, etc. Organisms live constantly. They interact with one another and adapt themselves to conditions to their environment. Now let us see what is ecosystem. Ecosystem is a community of living and non-living things that work together. Isn't it, children? All the things that interact in an environment make up an ecosystem. An ecosystem has two parts, that is living and non-living things. An ecosystem can be small or large, wet or dry, cold or hot. Each part of an ecosystem has a role to play. Any changes in the environment, such as increased temperature or heavy rains, can bring a big impact on the ecosystem. Now, let us see about the types of ecosystem with examples. Ecosystem is broadly classified into two types, that is natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. So ecosystem are broadly classified into two types. They are natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Natural ecosystem is classified into two types. They are terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem, it includes grassland, forest, deserts, etc. Aquatic ecosystem includes marines, freshwater systems, etc. And what is this artificial ecosystem? Artificial ecosystem, it can be called as a man-made ecosystem. It is created by man. Again, it is divided into two types, terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem includes garden, crop fields, etc. Aquatic ecosystem includes aquarium, which is a man-made. Okay. Now let us see in detail about natural ecosystem. Natural ecosystem is broadly classified into two types. One is terrestrial ecosystem. Example, forest. Second one, aquatic ecosystem. Example, pond. So natural ecosystem is classified into two types. One is terrestrial ecosystem, example forest, aquatic ecosystem, example pond. Next is artificial ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem is called as a man-made ecosystem. Again, it is classified into two types. One is terrestrial ecosystem, example is garden. Artificial ecosystem, example aquarium. You can see this artificial ecosystem is not occurs in nature. It is man-made. Artificial ecosystem is man-made. You can see a garden, a park which is created by man. Likewise, aquatic ecosystem, aquarium is a man-made system, right? Now, let us see some of the components of ecosystem. The ecosystem can be divided into two main components. As I said earlier, biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components includes all living part of an ecosystem, and abiotic components includes all non-living parts of an ecosystem. Let us see some of the examples of living components and non-living components. Living components examples, plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and we have still more examples. For non-living, we have sunlight, water, soil, air, temperature, etc. So these are some of the examples of living and non-living components. Now let us see some of the physical factors. What are called as physical factors? Physical factors are included as light, temperature, wind, humidity. We call these as physical factors. And next is we'll see about adaptic factors, which is otherwise called as soil factors. Water in soil, air in soil, organic matter in soil. These are some of the adaptic factors or soil factors. So, what is a natural ecosystem? Natural ecosystem originated without any human intervention is called natural ecosystem. Children, natural ecosystem are formed without human intervention. This can be two types. This can be classified as two types, that is terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Next is artificial ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem are created and maintained by human. They have some of the characteristics of natural ecosystem. They are much simpler than the natural ecosystem. These can be again classified into two types. One is terrestrial ecosystem, such as gardens, paddy field, etc. Or artificial ecosystem, example, fish tank. Children, I think you are clear enough in today's topic. So let us continue in our next session. Thank you, children.